around the world, but in Italy it's not so big as United States, because I think for his humor is pretty for Americans, not for all the things, but for some of the things that he did. When you heard this project, that I think is the first time that the Warner Bros. Has the project, one of the projects was Adam Sandler and Tim Edison. It's the first time they got together. How did you arrive this? How they called you?
Okay, so it's a long story. It's a long process. It took 11 years. But basically, I saw an article in a newspaper 11 years ago about how hotel chains were having family moon packages. And I saw the word family moon. I thought, what does that mean? And I read into it. I did a little research, and it turns out that in America, when a husband was getting married for the second time and had kids from the first marriage, and a woman was getting married for the second time and had kids from the first marriage, oftentimes they would bring their kids on the honeymoon together and call it a family moon.
Oh, yeah.
So a family moon is a honeymoon where you take your kids to. And I thought that's an interesting idea for a movie. Started working with some writers on it, and took a long time and did a lot of drafts. But 10 years later, we had a script that we really liked, and I gave it to Adam, who I knew, and he just loved it. And I think he related to it because he has 2 young kids now, and related to it in a way he couldn't have related to years before. Ironically, he had just had lunch with Drew Barrymore a few months earlier, and they had been looking to do a movie together. So when he read the script, he thought this would be great for Drew. He called Drew and gave her the script, and she read it and she loved it. So then we went to Warner Bros., who owned the script, and said Adam would do the movie and Drew would do the movie, and let's make it.
Perfect.
And after 11 short years, we were in South Africa.
But from the beginning, do you thought about that Adam was the right person 11 years ago, or during the process?
Yes. When we started working on it, we always thought Adam would be great for it. We always thought he'd be great for it. And in fact, we had approached his agent a few times before in the previous few years. But I think it wasn't until Adam had young kids that he was really interested in this role.
Understand.
But about your career, your favorite movie to produce is a romantic comedy.
Yes.
You are a sentimentalist.
Well, I love comedies, so I love trying to make people laugh. And I love being in the theaters when people do laugh. Hopefully they laugh more than they don't laugh when they're supposed to. So I really like the movies where the characters have to face some type of hard odds to be together. So, in Valentine's Day, you have this one day with all this pressure, and you want it to all get settled before the end of the day. So I like movies where normal people that you can relate to, have to face and then overcome difficult odds to end up being together.
And your favorite?
I love this movie. This movie's been so much fun on so many levels. I'm really proud of it.
Do you think, like Monsters & Co., happiness is better than fear?
Well, I think good movies have both.
Yes. And which are the most important difficulties in producing a comedy? Because we know that in a big blockbuster, the action movie, there are the action sequences, but in a comedy, which is the most difficult thing?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the most difficult thing in a comedy is for the humor of the movie to be funny to the people watching it. Because humor is so specific, comedy is so specific to every individual and every time. I watch movies today that I watched when I was growing up, and some of them aren't even funny. And I don't understand it because I remember laughing so much a long time ago, but you grow and you mature and the culture changes, and so I think the hardest part is for what's funny for one person to be funny for another person, and I think that's what Adam and Drew do so well together, is that they have this relationship and this rapport together that audiences really connect with.
Talking about the relationship, and Drew and Adam, they work very well together, and they are great partners on the set. Is it different to work with such actors that they are so good together? It can change something on the set.
That's a great question. I think for Adam and Drew, I think what was difficult for them at times was because they are such great friends and they are really close and they genuinely love each other and respect each other and are the best of friends. I think sometimes it was hard for them to be mad with each other in the movie, you know, because they don't get mad at each other. They're such great friends. But in the movie, there's times when they're at each other's throats, so to speak, when they're arguing with each other. And I think for them, that was a little bit of a challenge because they are so close.
About the music, in the film, in the movie, there is the tattoos, like a Greek chorus, underline the various moments. Overall, the most embarrassing. What's the relationship between Adam and you and the scene with the tattoo?
Well, in the original script, tattoo didn't exist. And there was a character that was kind of the host of the African safari vacation, but they didn't sing. And Adam and his writing partner Tim Herlihy, they came on to do some work on the script, and they added that. And I think Adam just thought it would be really funny to have Greek chorus commenting on the situations, and they always pop up after really difficult moments, after really troubling or embarrassing moments, and I think it's Adam's way of lightening the tension, of making the mood a little lighter after a difficult moment.
They are thought like a disorder or like a positive thing for them.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be fun and funny, and the character that plays the leader of the band, Terry Crews. When we show the movie to audiences in America, some of the biggest laughs in the movie are his scenes. So I'm curious to see if it'll be the same in Italy.
It's a very complicated question for my English.
Okay, even more complicated for my Italian.
Okay. Italy is focused on making movies in foreign countries to save a product cost.
Mm-hmm.
Even in America is like that. For this reason, this location of movies is Africa.
The answer is yes, for the most part, but also there are creative reasons for it. So I think the first part of your question is, do we shoot movies in places where it's economically advantageous? And the answer is yes. In America, a lot of the individual states have tax incentives where the states give rebates to make it less expensive to film there. So, in fact, the portions of the movie that were set in America were filmed in Georgia, which has a very strong and robust tax package of rebates. So we filmed 5 weeks in Georgia because it was very efficient to do so. The South African portion was a creative one. The original script was set on a cruise ship. So the writers, Ivan Menchel and Claire Serra, who are great writers, they set it on a cruise ship because they wanted to come up with a location where the characters couldn't leave. So when Adam and Drew's characters were at each other and not having a good time, on a cruise ship you can't go anywhere. You're in the middle of the ocean. But Adam had done a movie recently called Jack and Jill that was on a cruise ship, and he was looking to do something different. So the studio, Warner Bros, had recently filmed some movies in South Africa and suggested considering that as a new location. And Adam thought about it and really loved the idea of shooting in a location that nobody had seen on film before in this type of movie. And we had animals in the movie, and we had all sorts of other great things, the parasailing, and South Africa also had a tax incentive. So it was a combination of a great creative choice and a strong choice for saving money.
About producing, usually in Italy some prizes can boost a movie at the box office. Is the same? Is important to win prizes for a movie to achieve more public, or is the same thing is not so important? It's more important to have a good movie.
A good movie, for sure. So the number one thing, the most important thing for us is to make a good movie. And then if there are awards or good reviews, that's the bonus. But it all starts with the screenplay, and I think in this particular example, I think the script is fantastic, and I think the story is strong and very relatable. And then I think our cast of Drew and Adam is just fantastic. So we go into every movie hoping to make a great movie and intending to make a great movie. And anything that happens after that, the box office, the awards, the acclaim, that's what you hope for. But it all starts with the movie being good.
And about this, do you selected Franco Rasi for directing it, or was an idea of Adam because he worked together, and so they say it would be the good choice?
Yeah, it was Adam's idea. So Frank and Adam actually are college roommates. They went to college together. So they literally have been best of friends for most of their lives. And Frank and Adam did Wedding Singer together, Waterboy, Click, and we're looking to work together again. So when Adam and Drew came on board, Adam suggested Frank and gave Frank the script, and Frank loved it. And Frank was a perfect director for it. He just was great. He loved the idea, and he is a director that he knew Drew and Adam so well from The Wedding Singer, and had a very comfortable relationship with both of them. And it was comfortable for everybody, and I think that's one of the reasons the movie turned out so well. But he works so hard, Frank. He plans perfectly and works hard, and he was a great director on this movie.
Yeah.
They often say in the movie business that working with animals and kids, it's a nightmare. So you have both and also together. So how is it like?
That is true. That is a big saying. Well, I'll take the kids part first. So casting the kids was actually the most time-consuming part of pre-production, because the kids all had to work together in their individual families. So Adam's 3 daughters. So we would audition kids, but we audition them individually, but then we'd all bring them back together to see how they interacted with each other. So that took a long time. And then same goes with Drew's sons. We needed great kids and 2 people that could work well together. So that took a long time, casting the kids, but we felt like at the end of the day we had a great cast of kids, and they were all professionals. They knew their lines. They worked hard, and they were a pleasure to work with. The animals, you don't have as much predictability with them, but we had great trainers in South Africa we worked with, and that worked out great too. So those were both difficult things in general, but on this particular movie, it worked out great.
So Adam said that you did really ride I don't know the English name for that
An
kind of
ostrich?
animal. Yeah.
He did for a little bit. He was on ostrich for a little bit, but most of the running was a CGI ostrich. But you'll see the movie. In the DVD we have a section of it when it comes out. He was on a stuntman wearing a blue bodysuit and on his back, and the stuntman would run around with holding Adam, and then we CGI'd the ostrich after.
Great.
It was pretty funny. And then, but the animals are a lot of fun in it. But
I like in the band that has Adam on his shoulders.
Yes, that was pretty funny.
Cool, man.
To me, yes.
Yeah, strong man.
It's a romantic comedy or a fantastic comedy, because it's pretty rare that family like that loves each other overall when there are a lot of kids, a new sister and new brothers.
Well, it's a romantic comedy first and foremost. It's about 2 adults fall in love, and but the complicating aspect of it is the families, because they have to fall in love with each other, and the families have to fall in love with each other. So in this particular case, the families are a complication to them falling in love, because they're both at a point in their lives where their families are the most important thing. So if Adam's going to fall in love with Drew and Drew's going to fall in love with Adam, they have to make sure it works for their families. So I think the movie is a romantic comedy, and the family part of it is what kind of adds to the stakes of their struggle.
Because in the movie we can see that it's more difficult for the character of Adam and Drew to love each other, but in the same time their songs seems to be more fine with
Right.
the entire family.
Yeah, which I think is a real. I think the writers that wrote it tried to have the kids be real kids, to feel emotions that kids in similar circumstances would feel. So their idea in writing it was to make it feel as real as possible. And how would a kid react when their mom or dad is about to fall in love with somebody that could be their new mom or dad? So, I think that's part of what was attracted to them.
What do you think is the most important thing for a producer to have success? What is the thing that you have to have more control on when you produce a movie? And which is the things that you do better than the others?
Well, I think the most important thing for producers to find and the hardest thing for producers is to find a script that he or she really loves. And there's so many ideas out there, there's so many books and articles and scripts. It's difficult to find one that you really feel is going to work, and that starts with what you individually really are attracted to, because it is so hard to get a movie made. There are so many thousands of projects vying for those release slots. It's so difficult to find the financing and the cast and the director and the location and the budget that there's no movie that's going to get made unless the producer and the people behind it are really passionate about it. So I find that I have to be really passionate about something and really believe in it to have the energy and the drive to push it down the line. And this particular story, I just always loved. Every time I read the script, it made me laugh, it made me cry. I just always loved this story, and I just really believed in my heart that if audiences had a chance to see it, they would relate to it. But it's not an easy process, for sure. And this one, as I said, was a long process. I think this was 11 years. Valentine's Day, I think, was 7 years. Every movie seems to take a long time to get made.
How many scripts do you read in a year?
Personally, in a year, I don't know, hundreds for sure, hundreds and hundreds. A lot, because we do a lot of drafts of the same script.
Yeah.
So you read the same script many times because there's a new draft that comes in, and a new draft, and a new draft. And this particular script was written by Ivan and Claire. They did several drafts. When Adam came on, he and his writing partner Tim Hurley, he did several drafts. So it's a long process. And on the set, Adam is constantly coming up with new material.
Yeah. If you could choose a new project, what do you like to do? Something different, I don't know, science fiction or a crime, or something like this, because it's the thing that you love to do. Having the possibility.
I love comedies. I really love ensembles. We did Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, and now we're trying to do Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And that's another with Gary Marshall. But I'm interested in any genre where there's just a great story. So we're my company, Gulfstream, we're working on a lot of different ideas and different genres, and it's not so much the genre that I'm interested in, it's the characters and the way into the story. And it all starts with that. But I tell you what I would love to do is a sequel to A Little Romance. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
Laurence Olivier?
Yeah.
It's filmed here years ago, Diane Lane.
Yes.
I was.
Do a sequel.
I would love to do that sequel. Like the characters meet 30 years later. They made the promise under the bridge.
Yeah.
And to meet 30 years later. And
like Linklater that does the same movie every 10 years.
Yes, but this would be every 35 years because they're so much older.
Do you have some actor that you like a lot and you would like to work with and you didn't manage till now?
Well, I will say Adam and Drew were both actors I had always wanted to work with. I've been a huge fan of Adam's for 20 years, since he was on Saturday Night Live. Been a huge fan of Drew's for a long time. So for me, this was just a fantastic experience because I have so much respect for both of these actors, and I felt really fortunate to work with them on this one.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.